Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're taking a look here at Mana, which is Decentraland, and what we do is we look at Bitcoin, quick understanding what's going on in the market before we jump in. Also note, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. I've just been in the trading industry for over 15 years, and my goal is to help you become more of an effective trader. That's the reason why I created a trading community slash signal group. Link in the description below. Check that out in your own time. I send out signals for every single trade that I take, and essentially help everyone become more educated on best practice for being a trader. All right. So we got to survive. That's the important thing. And it's easier to survive together. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look here at Bitcoin and see what's going on. Now, first thing to note, obviously, the price is well above both moving averages. Nothing to really understand there. We won't need to worry about that for a little while. However, if you take a quick look here at the 4-hour chart, you can kind of see that we are still below the 50-day simple moving average, right? So it's still working as a resistance level. We'll see if that pushes the price down, but the bottom line here is that we are making lower highs and lower lows on the 4-hour chart still, so we're not out of the woodwork yet, right? Don't get too excited, but hopefully if we see the price come down to one of these two support levels, that might be a potential time to bounce, because we do have this descending wedge pattern that will likely break to the upside. Okay, now it's more often than not you'll see the price kind of come up, do one of these, and then take off. So we're just not sure exactly when it will do so, how much further down. But the great news is right here, the simple moving average, the 200, is right around 55,000. That's where we have the most amount of volume in the past couple of weeks, right? So we're looking at a pretty nice little support zone here. More importantly, 58 to 60,000 is kind of the primary support level. Okay, that's kind of where we're at. Furthermore, 65 to 66,000 is resistance zone. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here at Mana. Now, big picture, Mana's making some moves here today. It's done this before as well, where it ramps up really hard, really quick, has a pretty consolidation, and then continues. So there's a strong chance we might see a very similar pattern forming in the near future. However, let's go ahead and take a look at the support and resistance levels, kind of see what's going on first, because that's the important foundation there. So we'll just go ahead and mark the highest one-day candlestick close, which is roughly about 157. So 157 is essentially the highest point there. Obviously, the all-time high is right around 167, so we can mark that as well. That is essentially the resistance channel between 157 and 167, okay? So that is important. Let's go and take a look at the RSI, though, kind of see what's going on. First of all, price is well over 70 on the RSI. That's fantastic. Actually, not a problem at all. It's a good thing when that happens because the simple fact that the RSI at 70 can effectively work as a support level. Right, so once the price comes down, it could continue to bounce if this is a bullish trend, and we just continue to see some increase. Obviously, every situation is a little different, but for the most part, 70 on the RSI is actually a very good thing. Same with 50 as well. When you kind of see the price staying either above or below this line on 50 on the RSI, it basically tells us the relative strength is more so bullish than bearish. All right, so it's a very good thing. Furthermore, obviously, price broke right straight through the 200-day simple moving average. You can see it got rejected out three days in the last week and a half, and it just broke through yesterday and then again today, kind of taking off. So all good things here for Mana. I definitely like what I see here so far. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. We can see a very similar pattern here. In other words, just continuous increase. I do like that we had a slight consolidation period here and then another ramp up. RSI is over 70 there. Not much else to really extract. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at Fibonacci, see what's going on. We can see these support and resistance zones here. So I'm going to just go ahead and mark some pretty common ones. 0.5 is pretty standard. That's usually how low we see the price retrace on average when there's a significant increase. So if this were to continue to kind of progress down the same path that we normally see most coins, where it jumps up really hard, really fast in a 24-hour period and then consolidates, it'll come down there, right? In other words, well, it's almost exactly 100% increase from bottom to top here in the last 24 hours. So I would expect 0.5 to be a pretty standard consolidation area. So I'd say $1, and we could round up and say 10 cents. 110 is effectively the support level there. We've also got obviously a resistance here at 1.48. We don't need to worry about that. Let's mark 786. So that's $1.32 is essentially another potential resistance here. Okay, because the price is kind of below that right now, but it's trending above $1.10. So 110 to 132 is effectively the range. I know that's kind of a big range, but for now, that's kind of what we're looking at. So we don't have too many support and resistance levels on the chart here. because it can get kind of noisy if you start marking every single one there. But all in all, still in good shape here. Now, as far as continuation, let's see if that is possible. We are looking fairly overextended, so we're at an 8 out of 9. So if you're new to TD sequential, for lack of better terms, when you have 9 candlesticks in a row, it basically implies that you've had a pretty significant bull run in the past, what is that 36 hours, somewhere in that range? So the bottom line here is that this coin is a bit on the overextended side. I think you can kind of obviously see that. There's a reason why it's retracing. Those standard deviation lines are too high. And we'll look at the volume weighted average price, the VWAP, to kind of see what I'm referring to there so you understand more visually what a standard deviation line looks like. But in this sense here, if we look at the number 8, you can tell that we've got at best 4 more hours, 1 more candlestick worth of bullish momentum left. All right. Oftentimes the price should usually retrace around 9 because it kind of tells us that, hey, the bulls or the bears are exhausted, right? In this case, obviously the bulls have been pushing for some time and the bears are going to start taking their profits. Let's look at the 1 hour chart, quickly identify the cloud, see where we're at there. Obviously we're going to be well above, but something that's really nice, and this is right in that support zone, if the price were to continue to just say consolidate and come down, there's a great chance the actual cloud will continue to push it up, right? Because the Ichimoku cloud is really awesome about continuation. It kind of helps push the price up further, and it works as a support level. Okay. But the general common rule of thumb, if you're new to just say the channel or Ichimoku cloud in general, when the price is above the cloud, it's considered a buy signal. When it's below the cloud, it's considered a sell signal. That's the general idea. So obviously we got a buy signal right here. And what's interesting too is if you look at this, usually on the 4 hour chart, you can look at the MACD convergence and pretty much spot right at the exact same time. Look at that, 5 a.m. right there. We had a MACD convergence in the 4 hour chart. So there's always a correlation between the two. So if you loved using the MACD as a kind of an indicator for swing trade signaling, you definitely should if you haven't already. But if you like using that, for example, then carry over with the same thing. Look at the 1 hour chart on the cloud. And what you do is you simply just enable the cloud and you disable the first 5 indicators. Okay. Not to say they're bad, they're actually very helpful in their own way. But it's better to keep it simple in that sense, right? Especially if you're new to trading. But generally speaking, when the price breaks above the cloud here in this case, it almost always, if you have a MACD convergence on the 4 hour chart, you'll see the price continue. It's like a 90% odds of that happening, which coincidentally is one of the main, those are the 2 main factors that I use to maintain about an 85% success rate myself personally. So with my trading community, we all stay fairly successful, partially because of that main rule there. I always hold true to ensuring that we know that we're moving above the cloud and we have a 4 hour convergence on the MACD, right? All right, so let's take a quick look at the standard deviation lines I was referring to earlier so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So first of all, EMA and VWAP. EMA, exponential moving average 15. I use that on the 15-minute chart exclusively, and what that does is it just tells you when the price is above, it's considered bullish, below it's considered bearish. But if you see the VWAP and the EMA line, the blue lines here, that's essentially working as a support level, right? So it's holding the price up. So that's what actually helps establish the support line as well, right? That's where the volume comes into play. And people don't necessarily use that a lot, and I think it's unfortunate, but of course, lack of knowledge is not like it's a problem per se, but it's very helpful to use the volume as your friend, right? The volume really speaks loudly and tells you roughly where things are at. That being said, the volume weighted average price takes the last 24 hours of volume, expresses it as a price. The price is above, considered support, below it's considered resistance, right? So we're actually kind of close here right there at this point, whereas the price is getting closer to the volume weighted average price, and that's that natural gravity that is occurring. And what I mean by that is if we take a look at this here, this is standard deviation lines here. In other words, the price should only go so far away from the volume without having to come back down. Therefore, if you can kind of see back here when the price kind of got a little bit on the high side, it came down, retraced, and consolidated. Price comes up here, getting a little bit too far outside of its standard deviation lines, and it comes back down and corrects itself. It happens all the time. So if you were trading, for example, and you see the price action somewhere in this range here, way outside of the standard deviation zone, then it might be a consideration to trim or take some of your profits and allow it to come back down. That's why this is helpful for day trading, because you're scalping, you're taking little profits here and there. If you're swing trading, probably not a huge deal, but it's still helpful to identify trends and to understand when to take entry. Okay, but don't think you're going to be missing out if you don't use this. I would say the Ichimoku Cloud 1 hour and the 4-hour MACD convergence are probably the most important for swing trading. But that's kind of where we're at there. So why don't we just go ahead and circle back around to our prediction and kind of see what's going on. So let's go back to Fibonacci retracement. Pull this guy up here, put it right back where the price is at. Oops, I messed that one up. There we go. All right, and what we do is we just take a quick look at the big picture here and see. So I would say better case scenario if this bullish trend continues, which it can happen, right? It can just totally just ramp back up for another leg up. If and when that were to happen, the better case scenario would be about $2.47. Okay, so 247 I would say is a better case scenario here for Mana. And the main reason why I believe that is just based on Fibonacci retracement. If we were to break these resistance channels, then it will definitely leg up to about 247 as a best case in roughly the next 2 to 4 weeks. So I would say by month end of November, 247 is very likely, but you got to keep in mind we've got this resistance channel here between 156 and 166, or 157, 167. It's a 10-cent resistance channel. So if the price can break above that and close on the one-day candlestick, then and only then we'll start seeing the next Fibonacci retracement lines continue to be met. Okay. But for now, I would say that the best case scenario here for Mana would be to consolidate and go sideways for, I would say, 24 to 48 hours so it can get a little bit of relaxation, and then it go for another ramp up so it can actually push and break through these resistance channels. Because there's nothing worse than the price, ramping up super hard in just say, a 24 to 48 hour period and coming back down 50 to 60% of its original starting point. That sucks. We don't want that here. We want this to be healthy. So anyways, yeah, that is kind of what we're looking at. I would say by year end, absolutely, we're going to see these all-time highs broken, and we're going to be seeing somewhere in the range of, I would say 250 is extremely likely, maybe even $3, depending on, I guess, on Bitcoin's success. Not to say that this is extremely reliant on Bitcoin, but in its history, it's performed poorly when Bitcoin does poorly, right? We had a strong reset here on September 7th. You can see a lot of occasions where it's just gone sideways and now it finally took off. So just be cautious, be careful if you're investing in this. I would say wait for the price to kind of consolidate around support and then maybe consider adding to your position. And just be mindful, right? You always want to have a good risk tolerance and ensure that you're always doing right by yourself. That being said, if you want to leg up, of course, check out my Patreon community. I have an awesome group there. And furthermore, just note that, this is definitely something that's worthwhile, right? I think Mana has this very good big picture stuff. So if you're holding right now and you got like a really small number, like you got in back here, right around 10 to 20 cents, then good for you. I would just say continue to hold. Don't bother to buy and sell and do all that stuff. Hold on until you see about $2.50, maybe $3, and then consider taking your profits. Because I think it's very likely we're going to see $2.50 by year end, and possibly even $3 by next year, because the simple fact that I think alt season is going to kind of ramp up sometime in December and January, and that's when we should see a lot. Okay. So again, thank you so much for joining me here. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.